What's up, everybody? It's Keefy, and you are watching Ghost Cult Magazine's celebration of life of Melina Dellamarggio. Melina passed away 5 years ago, and as we have tried to do ever since, we try to honor her legacy and her incredible body of work. But not only was Melina a phenomenal photographer, she was an even better person and friend, and it's important to remember that always. What follows is a tribute to Melina in the words of some of her peers at Ghost Cult Magazine, people who knew her, people who shot with her, as well as an incredible set of photos provided by her family, to which we are eternally grateful. You can still see Melina's work and portfolio at melinadphotography.com, and I urge you all to go there after this video is over, and thank you for watching. Ghost Cult Keefy here with our friend Isabel. We continue celebrating the work and the life of Melina Dellamarggio. And I just want to once again talk to another person that resided near Melina, worked with Melina, shot shows in the vicinity of her, and wanted to just get your general, thoughts and impressions from knowing her. Anything you'd like to share is great.
Well, Melina was great. I met her, gosh, I'd like to say maybe 8 years ago at a Slipknot show. I didn't know anybody. I was kind of a brand new photographer, and it was kind of a guy's world at the time. I didn't really see a lot of girls in the pit. And so when I saw another female, I was like pretty overjoyed about it. I kind of just naturally flocked over there and stood by her, kind of acting cool, looking at my camera, looking at my lenses, cleaning them up. And she kind of glanced over and she was checking them out. And she's Canon, I believe. So she like, I'm an Nikon girl. She's a Canon girl. So we just kind of laughed about that, because the rivalry, right? Galaxy, iPhone thing, right? So Nikon and Canon. So I was like, well, how long have you been shooting? So we basically, just shot the shit, there for a little bit before we got our passes, exchanged and everything at the door, and validated our presence there, I guess. So I was in the pit and everything, and it was great. She had one of those wide lenses that are like fish eye lenses. She took a photo and I kind of landed in that photo, and she tagged me because we became friends, in that little chat outside. And, she's really friendly. Of course, everybody that knew Melina knew that she was really friendly. So she immediately friended me on Facebook, and we immediately exchanged information and everything. And, you know, as you say, it was a friendships after that. So she tagged me on that fisheye photo. That was really neat. We were all sitting there, perfectly lined up to get that great shot of, Corey. So after the show, and in between breaks, obviously we'd go to the little green room, because I remember how frustrated we all were because we couldn't really go out. We had to kind of shuffle into this green room. So we all got to talking, made more friends, got to talking a little bit more about equipment, lenses, prices. Oh my gosh, it's so expensive to be a photographer. And I'd like to add, even that first day when we were doing that Slipknot show and we were at the auction pavilion, and sometimes that little space can get very crowded, and these guys are big, they're taller, they're just they just take up more room than us girls, right? In general. And I think Melina was the type of person that, yeah, she was there getting her shot, but she was also very cognizant of everybody around her and very polite. She wasn't just gonna like jump right in front of your face. And a lot of people that are going to hear this that do this type of work will know how you feel when somebody just kind of jumps in front of your shot, just not really. It's like they're in their own little world, and they don't really know what's around them or who's around them, or do they even care? Maybe, I don't know, they don't even care. But Melina was a person who cared. So she would either kind of make a way for you and say, go ahead, so you could get there real fast without, with a clear, walk-in room, or she would just kind of like give you the shot, and she's like, I got my shot. She was just a very courteous photographer, and in that, it showed me kind of an etiquette that I wouldn't have learned had I not had that experience. Do you know what I mean? Instead of just being like a shark, in the water, sometimes there is a lot of, you can go a long way with just being a courteous person.
For sure. She was the photo etiquette queen and really good at it. And it's true, we all need somebody to show us the way.
She would tag us every single year in that photo too, as a memory. She would. And that was always a great thing it was such a great night, even though we were all disgruntled because we had to march ourselves into the green room. Um, I think it was still a great night because I got to meet a lot. That's when I met Rick for the first time as well, and Jim Laveau and a few other people in that pit. It was just a great time. I just really, really remember it being a really good time for all of us there. I feel really honored. I didn't know her as well as everybody else did. You know, I feel like a lot of people were really, I had different levels of closeness with her, but I felt like for her and I think it was only going to get better. And I'm really, really glad that I had those moments with Melina. I had those moments where I talked to her on the way back from Phoenix. Sometimes we'd talk on the phone and I'd lose her at Picacho Peak because my signal would go out. But she was just texting me. She's like, what, just get home safely. I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you later. And, you know, so I really
Just
do miss her presence. And I just
yeah.
really, really am glad that she was here for the time that she was. And people are here for reasons, and then sometimes they're mysteries, and sometimes they're here to touch us in ways that we carry on for the rest of our lives, and we do the best to take that and we take it and we apply it into wherever we can in our lives, and we say, thankfully we know this person that taught us this, and we can carry it on, and hopefully somebody else can keep on paying it forward.
Now, for my own story about Melina, I was lucky enough to meet Melina through Omar Cordy of Ghost Cult when he was on tour with Into Eternity. You may get to hear that story. We struck up a friendship. She came to work with Ghost Cult on many things, first shooting in Arizona and then traveling to cover festivals and going to California for shoots. She worked on a variety of projects for us where she also began writing, and she also shot shows and festivals and even sometimes video. And she set up all by herself with no assistant, which was even more impressive. We spent many, many hours on the phone and in chats talking about photography and the arts and music. Both of us shared two favorite bands, Tool and Pink Floyd. Anybody who knows the Tool and related bands fan community online, especially Facebook, would know her. She was incredibly kind and generous. She was incredibly loyal and fierce. And she was great at boosting you up and seeing when you needed some help or when you were down, lifting up your spirits, giving you a pep talk, giving you a kick in the ass. She was wonderful at this. She was a great, great eye for talent herself, and could always spot other talented artists and photographers who she continually lifted up rather than be competitive, which is pretty admirable considering our field of concert photographers and artists is not very gracious sometimes. It's a cutthroat world. I had the fortune of my life to meet her in person when I went to go cover Monster Mash 2015 with her. It was the one-time festival in Mesa, Arizona. We spent quite a bit of time that weekend. I got to actually watch her work, watch her shoot, both from the photo pit and the stage. And we just worked very well together and collaborated on some reviews, which were amazing. And we spent some time together. It was quite great. And again, she was a fantastic friend. As talented and gifted as she was 100 times better a human being, and she was supremely talented. So that just tells you about the character of the person she was. A wonderful friend, a wonderful family member, a lover of animals. It was the honor of my life to work with her, not just as her editor, but also to be her friend. And I'm forever grateful that I got to know her. Keefy here with Meg of Meg Loyal Photography as we remember and honor the awesome life of Melina Dellamarggio. Meg and I worked together for a long time at Ghost Cult and even before that. And the honor and knowing you and shooting you when we both lived in the Boston area, which was awesome. And then sort of the fate of Ghost Cult brought us to Melina, who ended up that's a whole nother story, but I wanted to get some remembrances of her with people who knew her and worked with her, however much or little or briefly. And you are one of those people. So good to see you always. Love you. And yeah, I wanted to share some memories you had of Melina and, just your time knowing her.
Good to see you too. First time doing this, so I don't know where to even start, except for, you know, wow, like Melina, like was just a whirlwind of a human being, just in your life. She came in like a thunderbolt, and she unfortunately, she left the same way. She was just larger than life and one of the most genuine human beings that I've ever, I met. You connected us. We were both shooting Musing, and her and I just clicked. We went out to go get lunch before Musing the first day, and it was like fate, if friends were soulmates, she's my soulmate. And, it just, the whole weekend was just shenanigans and so fun photographing. And, she hyped me up like no one else ever has. And, like, I've struggled as a photographer, and I've struggled to, you know, be confident and know that, like, I'm good at what I do, and I work hard, and I've worked hard. I got this year would have been 20 years that as a concert photographer had COVID not happened. When I met her, I knew that, like, it was going to be a friendship that would last lifetimes, and even though it's not the lifetime that I want as a friend, just knowing her for that brief moment in my life has just been life changing. Um, I remember we got to Music, and it was the first night, and someone had given me shit. Like, I don't remember the exact thing that happened, but Melina, not even knowing me for more than a couple hours, turned around and had my back and started yelling at this person and telling him basically to fuck off. And that's when I knew. that's the moment that I knew. Sorry, I'm having earbud problems. That's the moment that I knew that, holy shit, this is gonna be one of my best friends. She's raw and just, she was real, and that was hard to find. And I don't vibe well with most girls, and I knew that, like, this was just going to be, you know amazing. And it was just, she pushed me to have faith in myself. And now every day that, or when I was shooting, I had Melina's strap for my camera. Karen was nice enough to, she sold it to me, and I have her with me all the time, every show that I go to. So it's kind of like one of those things where, like, I know it sounds crazy, but I'll sit there and I'll have conversations with the strap because it's her. She carried it to every show she went to. And orange is not my color whatsoever, but it's this bright orange patch on it, and it's always going to be her. And it just, it's bittersweet. I'm at a better place than I was, after it happened, and a couple years after it happened. I can talk about her and I still get teary eyed, but it's more happiness because I can focus on the times that we had, though brief. It was amazing, and she was such an amazing soul. And um, Karen and I are actually better friends than Melina and I were. We Karen and I talk basically every day. It just, she helped me get through a lot, and I think I helped her get through a lot. And um, just let her know that her daughter was you know, one in 1,000 stars of a human being that will never ever be replaced, and there will never ever be another human being in this world like her. So.
I first met Melina in 2013 in Phoenix, Arizona. I was on tour with Into Eternity. I was their driver, and she was one of the first people at the venue. She didn't have a photo pass, but she had like her camera and whatnot. And the tour was kind of small, and she was like, "Hey," she ran into me and the band and was looking for like a photo pass. And I was like, "Could she shoot the show?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And I'm a photographer, so it's like, and I work for Ghost Cult, so I was like, yeah, why not? Sure, let's get some photos. Photos are always great, and I have a soft spot for photographers, so that's just how it is. She was really cool. We hung out that night. I didn't get to shoot with her because I had to drive, so I had to go to sleep. And I'll never forget, it was 98 degrees at 1 in the morning, like when we left. We were both shooting on County at the time, so we had something nice to bond over. She was really wonderful. She was a nice person, humble, easy to get along with, and she didn't piss me off. So that was great. I was like, yeah, it's our first time meeting you. We're at this venue, and yeah, one of the few people shooting the show, and you're not causing a problem. You're not overstepping. She was nice, friendly. The band loved her. Yeah. At some point, we exchanged contact information and like, hey, like, oh, you're looking to shoot more shows? It's like, yeah, I work for this website. And, I loved her work she had, and I sent her over to Keith, and the rest is history, as you heard in everybody else's segments. So, yeah, I guess I am the catalyst for all of the ghost cult involvement of Melina. It was that like, I remember at some point I posted I was editing in Photoshop, and she hit me up about it. She's like, "Oh, why don't you use Lightroom?" I was like, "I've never used Lightroom." I was too scared. I was like, "I just know Photoshop is going to stick to my Photoshop because it's easier for me." And, we got on Skype one day, and she gave me the crash course in Lightroom, and I never looked back. Now I can use both, but she's been very helpful in my Lightroom journey. So whenever I use Lightroom, I always think about her. So I'll never forget like meeting Melina and her mom while we're like in the middle of an editing lesson. It was really a good little moment. Just remember, sometimes photos that are all red can be saved. It's not just black and white. The last time I saw Melina, we were in Jersey. I was on my way to Philly for a concert. So I stopped and we had lunch. And she was there with a boyfriend. We just caught up, had a wonderful meal, good laughs. She filled me in on all her foot accident. She had a car accident and she got her foot badly damaged. And we talked about that. And I was like, whoa. But she was still like upbeat and, she was like bummed out about it, but she was still happy. And we had a great meal. Had a great meal, good laughs. So, that's what I'll remember always. Like, we made plans to hang out again. The cover artist for Tool is having a gallery exhibition, I believe in Brooklyn or somewhere in the city, and we were trying to go. But my schedule and her schedule for the dates didn't meet up. I wish I could have made it. Would have been nice to see her again. But yeah, the last time I saw her, we had a great meal, good laughs. So I can't ask for anything more. And whenever I use Lightroom, I'll always think of her because she was my Lightroom guru, and I will always be appreciative of that. As a lot of y'all know, like my Facebook has been taken from me, so I'm in the middle of trying to get it back. So all my memories and conversations we've had there are gone to the ether right now. So that sucks a lot. But at least I have my memories. She was a wonderful person, and I was very glad I was able to introduce her to most of the people in this video, to her family. Thank you guys for keeping the website going, keeping her Facebook page active. It's a little scary at times, but it always made me smile when I see something pop up. Melina, you'll always be in my heart. I'll never forget you. Can't be forgotten. Thank everybody else for participating in this video.
Keith from Ghost Cult Magazine here with my friend and comrade, Song River, music industry expert and wonderful person. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, Keith, and thank you for doing this. You're touching a lot of string chords of the heart tonight, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you right back. We're celebrating the great work and life and friend that Melina was to all of us. And I know that you knew her. At one point, you were also a concert photographer, in addition to your many hats you wear in the music business. And I know that you did a lot of shows with her. You knew her personally well. So I thought you would be a really choice person to talk to and to reflect on the greatness that was she.
Thank you. I remember the first time that I ever met Melina. It was it surprised me. She's such, I don't want to use was, she is such a ball of dynamic energy. Whenever I saw her, I always saw the colors of orange and red and yellow, and they were just like so vibrant, not to sound like some hippie dork, or anything like that. But she was just such a dynamic ball of energy. And I was in the pit getting ready to shoot The Darkness. And it was we were in between bands, and all of a sudden this beautiful girl with these eyes that just lit up the world comes bouncing up to me and says, "Hey, Song, how are you?" And she gives me this huge hug. We had never met before that. And I'm thinking to myself, who are you? How do you know my name? And wait a minute, I've seen your work. And the light bulb just came on. It's like, I've seen her work. I've seen her photography stuff. And I'm like, she's talking to me. That is seriously, Keith, how I felt. I was so humbled in her presence, but she elevated me to her status. And that was how she operated with everybody. There was nobody beneath Melina. She's just that kind of person that just draws you up and treats you with the same amount of respect that you should give, crying out loud, anybody in this world. And from that moment on, I mean, we became fast friends, texting and calling each other and going and meeting up to do shoots and sharing notes. And, she was a wealth of knowledge. Oh my goodness, that girl. Her camera knowledge was dynamic. And I remember having this conversation at not too long after that first meeting where we were talking about how we approach concert photography. And I had never really gotten to talk to anybody about it because everybody just kind of thought I was nuts for all the concert photography. I mean, I think it was the year 2016 or 2019. I've lost track. There was a year I remember. I think there's 365 days in a year last time I checked, and I shot 349 of those days. So, she and I would bump into each other a lot. But as talking about it, I remember she got what I was saying, and that to me was like really cool because whenever I would show up for a job, I would always show up early and knew people that were there so that I could walk the pit. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's this space more often than not that's set up that has between the barricade and the stage. That's just the photo pit where the security guards and the photographers can go back and forth. And when I would show up early, I would look at the layout of the lighting, talk to the lighting guy, look at the sound where it was laid out, talk to the sound guy, and mathematically try to form things ahead of time in my head where everything was, because usually you can only shoot the first three songs. And then when I start shooting, I would be like completely removed. I was like in my own world, and it was surreal sometimes because I wouldn't notice that anybody else was around me. It was like you're almost like in a capsule is how I could describe it. And when I was talking to Melina about this, she's like, I get it. She says the same thing. That's how, she would get in her own world, and she would look at the layout of things and she would see how stuff was set up, because time was so precious. And that beginning part. So that kind of helped me grow, just being able to talk to her about how concert photography worked. And I really appreciated that about her. She was never not willing to share her knowledge. I remember one time all of us were in the pit, and there was a young lady. She might have been 18, 19, 20, early years of college, and she wanted to be a photojournalist, and she was working for, I believe it was ASU's magazine or something like that. And she was really struggling with her camera, and her knowledge was new. She was a babe. And Melina just was like, not even a second thought, stopped what she was doing to help this young lady figure out how to make her camera work so that she could photograph the show. She gave up her own time that was precious, because we only have those three songs, to help somebody who was a novice be able to shoot a show. I don't know very many people like that, Keith, in the music industry, whether you're talking about a photographer, a writer, a PR person, a manager, whatever, that will stop and help somebody else along. But that was Melina. That was her. That's what she did. And it wasn't just in the photography world that she was that way. She was that way with everybody. Respectful, kind, compassionate, and full of wonder. She soaked in everything that was around her. And I found her to be almost an angelic being for a temporary time here that walked among us. And I'll never forget that. There's not a day that goes by, even though I'm not a concert photographer right now, but my camera sits right there, and I look over at it, and it's the same one that I used when I worked with her, and I'll think about her. She's just, I don't know. I'm running out of adjectives and adverbs, I think, is the problem. How do
Right.
you put someone in her category?
It's impossible. She was
You
magical.
can't. And you saw the world through Melina's eyes,
Yep, that's it.
and that's why she's still here with us. That is why she's still here today. Every time we look at one of her photographs, we are seeing through her eyes the way that she looked at the world.